Hi, this is Lisa Jackson with Strategic Compliance Solutions. I'm going to walk you through a tutorial today on some of the features and functionality of RIMS. What you see right now is your logon page, and you'll receive your login and password ID at the time you become a client. So we'll enter that in right now. And the first screen you're going to come to is the main page, which shows your task headings at the very top. And what we're going to do, there's several different features here. We'll go through a lot of these, but we're going to show you today the one you're going to use the most often, which will be your new request. So it's under Service Request, New Request. And we're going to bring you to the lending group. This will automatically default to whatever your lending group is. When we enter your profile in, you'll have a lending group, your organization, all your contact information will be put in and it'll be associated with your login ID. So that's what it'll default to. You'll select that. This first screen here is coming to is what your the level of service that you want to have from SCS. If you're requiring a review, and again your credit policies will dictate that. If you have a single family home that will require a single family checklist review, you'll check level service 1. If you have any commercial properties, level 2 and level 3 will dictate that. If you have a property under $1 million that will require a compliance checklist, that'll be a level 2 service. And if it's over $1 million that will require a technical review, you will select level 3. You can order only an appraisal with no review documents if that's appropriate, and you can ask for a review, an existing report if you already have an existing appraisal that you just need reviewed, so it's in compliance with your credit policies. You'll choose this one, Review Existing Report. We also allow you to order environmental reports as needed. So for the sake of this tutorial, we're going to do kind of an easy one, level 1 service. All the information is basically the same. So once you learn this, you'll be right in. Now let's look at some of the basics here real quick. This is the first login page of your service request for an appraisal. And you'll see there are many bolded fields. The account officer information is going to automatically pre-populate from what your profile was at the login. So that's a nice little shortcut there. The delivery date, let's look at that. The delivery date should be the date that you want to have this report in your hands. Now let's keep in mind that if you have a closing date of let's say April 1st, you're not going to put April 1st as the date that you want it in your hands. You're going to want to have it there at least 10 days, 2 weeks prior to whatever your closing will be. So you need to keep that in mind when you're ordering your report. There's also, if you're ordering a report that requires a review, there's 5 to 7 days that's required for the review. So you keep that in mind, that whatever date you put in there, you're going to need, if you're asking for the report to be delivered on the 17th, there's going to be 5 to 7 days after that there's going to be a review period. So let's assume we've thought about that. We know what we're going to, when we need the report, and we need to have it by the 31st. You have the option here to enter your closing date as well, if that helps you to kind of keep track of things. You can go ahead and put that in there. Your priority is not a required field, but if you do have something that's urgent and requires a quick turnaround, you will put that in there. And that just lets the appraiser know that you understand there's going to be a little higher fee because of the fact that you're asking for a quicker turnaround time. All of these are trackable fields, so use this like a database and put as much information as possible, because it'll just help you to track all this information and assimilate it into one place. That's what makes RIMS to be a really nice tool to work with. Alright, so again, all the bolded fields are required. So we're going to enter, but let's look at the project name. Sometimes you, like as a bank, use a project name to track all of your assignments. So please feel free to use whatever fields you want to use. And the tab button takes you to each additional field, or you can use your mouse, whichever one you prefer. You can put in the borrower first and last name, or if it's a company, you put that in here. These fields with the drop-down menu, depending on the answer that you give, it'll tell you whether there's some additional information that's required. If you put in yes, it's going to ask for if there's a previous report that's in RIMS, there's a previous project number, you can put that in here along with the value and the date of the value. But for the sake of this tutorial, we're going to put no. The same goes with your existing or new loan. If you're putting existing loan, it's going to ask for the existing loan amount and some additional information about advances. But again, for the tutorial, we're going to keep it simple. The loan amount is required. And again, that's just kind of a key point for the review. For single family, regardless of the amount of the loan, it'll be just a single family checklist review. Cross collateral, if it's yes or no, again, they're going to ask you from what the loan is, if it's a cross collateral situation. The loan purpose is required. And you have many options from new loan to any foreclosure or purchase assets. You can put that in there. The risk rating is required field, but not everybody uses it, but just be consistent in the way you're doing it. SBA involvement, again, if you put yes, it's going to ask you the type of involvement. The comments at this point are not required, but there will be a point later on when they will be required. The property type, you have many different property types to choose from, and again, this is the appraisals. We can solicit for bids on all of these assignments. We're going to do residential property for the sake of this tutorial, make it easy. But again, once you choose your field, you'll have another set of drop-down menu that will give you different property types to choose from. So we're going to save and continue. There was a point now we could have saved this request as a draft, because what happens is RIMS will automatically go in and save the information up to this point and give it this draft number. At some point, if you were to go in later on and say, oh, I got interrupted, I have to go back, you can go in and hit view unsent, and it will show you this draft number, and then you can click on it and it will bring you back to this point in your data entry so that you don't have to redo the whole thing all over again. But that's a nice little feature in case you get interrupted. The property name, whatever you want to call it. Let's just say this is Main Street Headquarters. One of the other nice features is, again, I'm just tabbing over, if you know your zip code, you just put that in and it's going to automatically put in your city and state. The property tenancy is required. If you know it's 100% owner occupied, that's again something the appraiser needs to know. If it's a tenant situation, put that in as well. Existing property, if it's construction or under renovation. I always recommend the parcel number. If you have the parcel number, it just guarantees it's that second checkpoint to make sure that the appraiser understands the property that you want to have appraised, and if you're getting the right property appraised. The legal description, if you have more, let me just go back up here one quick point. If you have more than one, you just hit add and it'll bring up another box where you'll enter in additional PIN numbers. The legal description, if you have it entered, is short and you can enter it. Feel free to do that here, but you will have a place later on where you can actually attach a document if you've already got it stored on your hard drive. The property collateral description and property comments are required here, and again, be as verbose and descriptive as possible about the description of the property. It again just helps us to identify the correct appraiser for the property, as well as give them a good scope of what that appraisal is going to entail. So we're just going to say this is a residential property, so and some comments. And again, the property comments here are required, and it's any specific instructions that you might have. That if you don't have any, then you just put NA. But if you have some specific instructions, put it here. Anything, whatever that might be. The property context, the drop-down menu will give you a lot of additional titles for the person to contact to get into the property. If you put account officer, it's going to automatically pre-populate with your information if you're set up as an account officer. I'm not, so whatever the other names, you'll have to put in the information. But again, put in the bolded fields. But if you have email, and other phone number, please put those in as well, because again, it just helps to streamline the process so that you're not having to have the appraiser call you looking for additional information. Okay, now we're going to hit next, and it's going to go into our next page, which will just be a little bit more additional information about the property itself. Now here it'll give you primary improvement size and the site size. The improvement obviously is the building, and you have several different units of measure here. Pretty much always on this, I can't think of an instance when you would use square footage, unless of course it's a land deal. And the site size being that of the lot it's on. And again, you have acres, you have square footage, rooms, I mean things like what some of these you'll never use, but pretty much acres and square footage will be the two that you'll be using. If you have a secondary building, you can add that on there. If you have excess land, you can add that here. The year built is required. You have some information referring to parking, which is relevant if you have a condo situation or even a commercial that you want to have the parking spaces evaluated as well. You can add that additional information in here. Occupancy, current use and proposed use. All of those are relevant fields if you have the information and it's relevant to the assignment. Please put those in. Pending sale. Again, if you put yes, it's going to ask for you for some additional information. I'm going to keep it simple. Listed for sale. Again, it'll ask you for additional information if you put yes in and ask for the broker info. If you have any proposed renovations or demolitions, if you put yes here, they're going to ask you for description cost, and that's relevant if you have any renovations going on. Even if it's not a required field, you'll want to have that information if that's what you're looking for. I'm going to save and continue again. Now this will bring us up to our last field, our last window. And what it's telling me right at the top here, RIMS is very user-friendly. It'll tell you if you have any information missing. It says here I have one request that hasn't been sent, and there's one service that needs data input confirmed. Here is our valuation premise, and this is what it's asking for. You have several different premise qualifiers. Since we're doing a residential home, it'll be as is fee simple. You could have as complete if it's being built. You have forced and liquidation values, and for commercial properties we can also do a going concern. You have the lease fee values here if you have a ground lease, anything like that. There's several different features here. You're going to right here, the comments are required. If you have any additional comments, put them there. Otherwise, you can put NA. Confirm and save details. Now at this point, you have a couple options. So let's say, for example, this particular borrower has several different properties. You could at this time hit Add Services, and it's going to take you to that first screen where you can go in and add your the valuation that you're looking for. If it's a commercial property, it's a single-family home, and then it'll take you to that second and third page then, which will allow you to enter in the additional property information. You get to bypass all the borrower information, which is a little bit of a shortcut, so you don't have to keep entering the same information over and over and over again. So I recommend you doing that, and it also ties all the properties to that borrower, which is nice. When you go into RIMS, you'll see them all at a glance. You can also go in and attach property documents, which will demonstrate that here. And you have several different titles that you can go looking for, and you can label it. So you'll have title, legal description, a previous appraisal, title policy, site of survey, all these different labels. And you just choose one and then attach your file. Here. And we have a legal description we'll add. Hit upload. And it's going to give you a little taskbar to tell you when it's complete. Very quick. You'll get the succeeded check mark, and then you hit done. Now at this time, if you've attached all your documents, you've added all the additional services for your additional properties, if you have that, if that's relevant, you're going to send selected services, which is going to send all this information then to SCS so that we can then request the appraisal for you and bid this out and assign it to an appraiser. And what you'll get is this confirmation window. Now, something to keep in mind is if you have more than one property that you entered in, you're going to want to have a confirmation window like this on every single property that you just entered. You only have to hit send once, but you should have a copy of this confirmation for every single property that you've entered. So you have Main Street. It'll tell you the date of delivery, date it was sent. The date of delivery is the date you want the report delivered. This was sent on 1/15, which is today's date. If you don't have this confirmation for each of the properties that you entered, then something's missing in between. And what you can do is go in and hit your service request, view unsent. If you're all of a sudden you see 3 of the properties you entered are not there, and you'll see a draft number for those additional 3 properties, and then you can just go in there and check them and continue on. This is also if you get interrupted. If you go in and you hit view unsent, it will take you to your draft numbers, and then you can go in and it will default you back to that page where you were stopped at. And you just continue on from there. It's going to always ask you for your property type. It's going to kind of stop you there to re-enter your property type information. So that's a nice little shortcut and a feature to have as well. If you're searching for a property, if you go into search, project search, and put in something small. All of these are searchable fields here. So if you put in, you want to always search on no so that you get open and closed assignments both. You could put the project name. You could put the address. And if you put the whole address, it's better just to choose a word within the address and search on that. And you'll have a better opportunity to do it. You can search by account officer. The borrower's name, if you have it, the only problem there is if it has to be exact spelling. So that one kind of can be a little iffy if somebody misspelled it. But all these other fields are very good ones to search off of. But again, use no, hit search, and it'll bring up all of the files that have that address in it. And then you just choose the one you want. And then it'll bring up that confirmation page. It'll show you description. You can look at the service request itself, which will be all the information that you entered, and you can verify if all the information is correct. There's some additional features again that you can use on RIMS. The reports tab will allow you to do a completed services summary, which allows you to search for all the completed reports that you've generated, all the assignments rather, within a certain date range. You also can edit your contact info, and of course your search fields. It allows you to do a contact lookup of anybody within your organization. And of your jobs, my jobs will pull up all of your jobs that you've entered that are still open. Once they close, you'll have to search for them under the under the search, project search screen. That's really it for RIMS. It's again a very user-friendly, very basic data entry system. If you have any questions, of course, you'll feel free to call us at Strategic Compliance Solutions. But for right now, that's the end of our tutorial. Thank you very much.